Brian Grimes, your real estate mentor, back with another action-packed session. Today, we're going to be covering hard money loans. So make sure you stick around to the end. You're going to learn a ton about hard money, why it's so important as an investor, because it's going to show you how to scale up to 10, 20, 30 deals per year. And you really can't do it without hard money or some type of lending partner. If you're new to the channel, like, comment, subscribe. Leave the comment that says, I subscribed. For everyone who leaves that comment, I'm going to send you instant access to my free real estate training. It'll show you how to acquire properties for pennies on the dollar all across the country. You don't want to miss out on that free offer. If you guys have questions, drop them in the comment section. Drop them in the chat. We'll answer them as we go through the process. So, guys, as always, we usually start off with a little bit of mindset. And the thing that came to me this week was really, it kind of took me back to my basketball days. For those who don't know, when I was much younger, I was like high school age, like nationally ranked in basketball. My first high school game, we got flown out to Akron, Ohio to play LeBron and his team, which was insane. I mean, sold out game. But part of that experience, kind of basketball and having like different levels that you will achieve as you're, giving your all to a sport. I remember asking my father at some point, when will I be like a pro? And I had played against pros. I had practiced against pros. I had, seen pros perform and, relating this to professional real estate investing. But I'm like, when will I be a pro? I remember just asking him this, maybe like my freshman year in college. When will I be a pro? And the answer he gave me kind of shocked me. And he's like, as soon as you decide you're a pro already, you'll be a pro. And it never clicked for me. I mean, nobody ever told me that before. And I wasn't expecting that answer. And he's just like, by the time you decide that you're a pro already, then you'll start to practice like a pro. You'll start to walk around like a pro. You'll compart yourself like a pro. You'll sleep and exercise and diet and do all of these different things and train like a pro. And you'll do it for consistency, consistent results. And then you'll be a pro. So as soon as you make the mental shift to decide that you're a pro, that's when you'll be a pro. Nobody's going to come by and tell you you're a pro. You're not going to get some type of credential that tells you you're a pro. It's all you. It's all in your head. Because as soon as you make that mental shift, you're going to start to do things differently. You're going to start to go for consistency. You're going to stay locked in the moment on the current project that you're working on right now and getting the results. So when people will ask me like, Brian, I want to become a real estate investor. I promise you, I talk to maybe like 5 to 10 realtors a week who are kind of looking at the mentorship program. And they're like, Brian, I got my realtor's license. I'm still not feeling like a pro. When am I going to be like a pro investor, or am I going to get like some credential at the end of your mentorship program? I'm just like, no, this isn't about that. This is about deciding that you're a professional investor now, starting to learn the skill sets and the techniques and the strategies of a pro, and then getting that practice, getting your reps in. Just like sports, you have to, they say perfect practice makes perfect, but it's not even perfect practice. It's taking game time shots and practicing as if it was the game, or as if it was harder than the game, even if you're by yourself. So a pro in sports can go to a gym completely empty, nobody there, completely by themselves, but they're never alone. You know why? A lot of people don't know this about pros, but they'll have imaginary defenders in their head. They'll have, if they're driving to the lane, they'll have some imaginary 7'5" dude who can jump out of the gym to block their shot. That's why a Steph Curry is kissing them off the glass at the top of the square, even in practice, because in his head, there's an imaginary defender. When you get good at anything, you will push yourself. You will get those reps in. You will be pulling your comps. You will be analyzing deals constantly. You'll be getting those reps to build up your speed to a professional level. And once you become a pro, from that activity, you'll just start to get pro results. But you'll never get there until you decide that you are already a pro. And you'll decide that you're a pro maybe after hearing some of this. And you'll just say, hey, I want to be a pro. I've decided, and I'm going to start behaving that way. But also, when you're tired of the status quo, when you get up and go to the 9 to 5 and you're just like, you know what, today was the day. I'm done with this thing. It's time to go pro. It's time to turn pro, because you're giving your attention, you're giving 100% to something right now. You might be giving 100% to your vices. You might be giving 100% to your distractions. But when you decide to give 100% to becoming a professional real estate investor, and you decide that there is no credential, there is no arbitrary thing that somebody's going to hand you, and nobody's going to give you the keys to say you're now a pro. You have to give yourself that confidence. You have to give yourself the keys. Tapping the mentorship can do it. It can get you the knowledge and the skill sets and the resources and the teams to be there at that level. But it still takes the mental mindset shift to accept that, to understand there's going to be fears. Pros deal with that. Pros deals with fear, and they replace it with knowledge. They replace that with experience, and then they accelerate. But once you decide that the 9 to 5 is not going to get you where you want to go, it's not going to get you financial freedom, it's not going to get you your time back with your family, it's not going to get you the money you want. I hate to tell some of you guys who are stuck in, but nobody's going to pay you what real estate will pay you. And if you stick with real estate long enough, you're going to find that nobody, and I promise you, nobody on the planet, and I don't care how much money you make right now, even if you were making $1 million, nobody's going to pay you $5 million a year, $10 million a year. Real estate does not care. It's a multi-trillion-dollar industry. Does not care. We'll pay you that all day. Nobody's going to get in your way. So as soon as you decide these things and that you're going to be a pro, you'll be a pro. And you'll start to do what a pro does. A pro will just go out and get a coach. They're not going to overthink it. They're just going to say, you know what? I'm a pro. I need to get better. I'm getting a coach. End of story. And they're going to invest in themselves because they know they're not going to quit. This is part of the journey. So I had to make that mindset shift. And as soon as I was told this, by the way, by my father, I was like, oh, I'm a pro already. And everything changed. Just my whole, it was like a complete just flipping it on top of his head type of experience. Everything changed. I would say overnight, I probably got 10 times better overnight with just the mindset. I started to realize, wow, this isn't about the physical. I thought he was going to say, oh, when you're physically ready and you can do some of these things. He was like, no, you're already a pro. You've been a pro, in fact. You're just not mentally there yet. But as soon as you make that shift, it's over. So guys, like, comment, subscribe. Leave a comment that says I subscribe so I can send you that free training. Share the content with somebody who you think will get value from this. And let's start to dive into this hard money. This hard money, let me try to shift that screen. This hard money game is crucial. I get a lot of questions about hard money from new investors who are just like, I don't know how this stuff works. Can you walk me through the process of a hard money loan? I'm uncomfortable with it. What are these rates? What are these terms? So let's start to break this stuff down for you guys. And once again, drop your questions in the chat. The better the questions you guys ask, the better answers you guys will get, more information and value you will get out of this. And stick around to the end because you can miss something. So costs. The first thing to deal with hard money is just your basic costs. So what are the basic costs of hard money loans? The basic costs are 3 and 12. That's what I want you to drill into your head. Not every hard money loan is a 3 and 12, but on average they are. So what is a 3 and 12? The 3, and these are all percentage points, but the 3 is called your points. Some people might also call this an origination fee, but what it means is they're going to charge 3, they'll call it points. So you need to start to learn the jargon of this thing, because when you're speaking to a lender, this is how you want to talk to them. So what do you guys, you charge 3 points, 12%? You want to talk like that because when you start talking like a pro, you get treated like a pro, and they're not going to try to pull the wool over your eyes or give you the lower rates or say, we don't work with new investors. If you don't sound like a new investor, you won't get treated like a new investor, right? So the points are origination fees. What this is what a lender gets paid to originate debt. Lenders, for the most part these days, they are originators of debt. The origination process involves marketing their service and then underwriting loans. So for marketing their service, having capital available, and then underwriting the deal, looking at the comps, looking at the rehab budget, making sure it fits some of the things that we'll talk about here, they charge 3%. That's like their fee. So on $100,000 loan, if a lender was going to give you $100K to purchase and renovate a property, they're going to charge $3,000, 3 points, 3%. That's pretty much industry standard. There are going to be some lenders who charge more. There are going to be some lenders who charge less than that. As you get more advanced, you can negotiate down those fees, but that's like general. 12 is your percentage. Typically with your average hard money loan, they are charging you 12% interest per year, 1% per month. So if it was a $100K loan, they're going to charge you $3,000 up front and then $1,000 a month to maintain that loan until you pay it off, right? So 3 and 12 is something you want to know. One thing to keep in mind is you want to focus in on your points over your interest. So you might have a lender that says, well, we could do 5 points and then we can reduce the interest to 9%. And some people may say, oh, 9%, that's better, right? Well, not necessarily, because you're only paying this divided by 12. So you're paying this on, annually, but on a monthly basis. So I'm only paying 1% a month here. So what that's telling me is if I'm a sophisticated developer and I can get in and out of this deal quickly, this number almost doesn't matter. Even if this number was 15%, if I'm only in the deal for 2 or 3 months, I'm never going to pay the full 15%. So it doesn't necessarily bother me. I might only pay 3-4% out of that number, even if it was 15, because I'm in and out of the deal so fast. This is getting paid up front. So if they make this 5 points, even if I'm in a deal for only a month, I pay 1% here, 5 here, that's 6%. So I kind of get a loss on my speed here if the points are too big. So if you're going to negotiate anything down, make sure you're negotiating your points, not necessarily your, I'm going to put INT, not necessarily your interest. The interest can be important, especially as you're scaling. You have, I've scaled hard money to over, 50 to maybe 80 deals at once. So when you have this over a large bucket of properties, a large portfolio, it does, everything matters. Every dollar matters as a real estate investor. But there are some things that matter more than others, and some things that will give you a speed advantage versus some that don't. So guys, if you have questions about any of the stuff, drop it in the chat, drop it in the comment section. Even if it's outside of hard money, any questions that are popping up on your mind, and we'll go through it. Next step is your term. So when we're dealing with the term of hard money, people will ask that, how long does hard money last? How does this kind of work out? What types of deals fit here? And before I leave these rates, and I'll get into the term, these rates are not impacted by where the 30-year fixed rates are or where some of these other things are because of the term. The term on these hard money loans is 11 months on average to 24 months. That's the term. So once you get outside of 24 months, you're into a bridge loan. I'll put a bridge here. And we'll have to talk about that. Maybe if people have questions about what's a bridge loan versus hard money, we'll answer it. But you'll have bridge loans, and then you'll have 30-year fixed. The bridge would be probably 2 to 5 years. Then you will get into your 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30-year terms. Some places even are having like 40-year notes right now that are out there. But the term is short because this is a construction loan. This loan is designed to deal with what a lender would view as the riskiest part of the deal. So even when 30-year note interest rates were 3% or 2.25% or wherever they got to at the lowest, these rates were still 12%. They were still 3 and 12 because this 3 and 12 is based on the risk premium of a deal. Because the lender is coming in and giving you money to renovate a shell and say, hey, you're just going to renovate this shell property, build it back up. They're taking on risk. They want this risk premium. But because of that, it's not tied to where 30-year notes are. Like that, it's almost like to them, it doesn't matter. It's not like they're going to bump this up to 18% because interest rates are higher. This is still based on the same risk premium, at least for now. Now, if 30-year rates got up to 12%, I think it would really throw the industry out of whack, because then you could almost just get a conventional loan at that point and use it like hard money. So to some degree, the hard money industry could get pinched if rates go up to a certain level. I don't think they're going there. They're projected to come back down, but it is something that we all need to be aware of. Roland said, "Can we talk about transitioning from hard money to 30-year fixed?" Yeah, we let's cover a little bit more, and I'm going to come back to this question because it's a good question, but I want to make sure we have ourselves wrapped around what hard money is in general, and then we'll kind of get into within the process, which is that question what you'll have about. So now what do I do here? Now that I have this loan, how do I actually use it and implement this to scale myself up? And we'll talk about that process and how it works with a 30-year note. LLC versus personal. The next question that I get, let me see what this question is. Can you pay the 12% upfront and get a kickback if you only hold it for less than 12 months? You typically wouldn't pay it upfront. Some lenders will escrow 3 months of this. So they would escrow 3 monthly payments, 3% upfront if you're a new investor. If you don't use those 3 months, let's say you were in the deal for a month or two, and then you refinanced out of the deal and paid them off, you would get some type of refund there. Like, they're not going to keep any money typically that you are advancing them or that they're requiring be held in escrow from your closing. And how that would work is if your typical closing costs were $15,000 for your transfer taxes, any skin in the game you had to put down, doc prep fees, insurance, title insurance, just any of those mortgage recording fees, any of those normal fees, they would then tag another 3% on top of it and say, well, we're going to escrow the first 3 months payments. But what that means is you're prepaying those 3 months. So while you're in the deal for the first 3 months, you're not paying anything. So it's not a bad thing. It can give you a bit of a cushion. You will get back typically anything in real estate. I mean, you do have to read your contracts, right? People can put whatever they want in a contract. And these hard money lenders they can come off as bullies at times. So they'll try to bully you. Oh, this is how we write our stuff, and this is it, and it's our way or the highway. Everything in real estate is negotiable. So you just want to make sure you're reading the fine print. If you're in a mentorship program and you're dealing with a lender for the first time, reach out to me. Hey, Brian, does this look good? You can send me the term sheet. They'll always send out a term sheet, which is a 1-pager that will go through pretty much this. But anything typically in real estate that you don't use, like insurance premiums, if you prepaid a year of insurance and you only held a deal for 3 months and then you flipped it, you would get a refund. You're typically getting refunds of these things that you're not using. For the next question, LLC versus personal. People will ask this, Brian, can I do the hard money in my personal name? Can I do this in my personal name? Can I do this in an LLC? What do I have to do? You have to do hard money in an LLC. I've actually never seen hard money done in a personal name. The reason why is because when you're doing loans in your personal name, it's usually because they are qualified mortgages, which means they can be government backed. So there's an aspect of that and the tradability of it. But also you get different protections on a personal loan versus you get like national consumer protection laws, which means if you get sued, even in a foreclosure, they have to serve you properly. They have to do all of these different things and they can't write things out of the contract. Whereas with the LLC, it now becomes a commercial loan. Even if it is just on one individual property, this is now a commercial loan, which means it's outside of the scope of all of the consumer protections. So it becomes riskier on your part, but easier for the lender in the event of a default to take over the deal, to step in and try to control the deal, or take over the deed in lieu of foreclosure and do some of these things. So they're always going to force the LLC for hard money from what I've seen. I've never seen a hard money loan in a personal name. So if you are going to scale with hard money, you better go get an LLC. If you don't know how to set up an LLC, I mean, there are a lot of different resources that you can tap into. If you're in a mentorship program, just reach out and we'll show you how to tap into LLC, where to set it up, how to structure it, how to do all of your ownership and kind of all of that stuff. Let's see, we have a couple of questions. Realistically, how do you get started? If I start an LLC tomorrow, will they need to use my income from? Absolutely. So they're still underwriting you. Even though you're putting it in an LLC, you are still guaranteeing the loan. So you're personally guaranteeing the loan. It's just in the name of the LLC, which means the debt is not going to show up on you. This is not going to be based on your debt to credit ratio and some of these different things like a personal mortgage would be. So it's going to be in the LLC's name. It's going to build the LLC's credit score, not your personal. If you miss the payment, it wouldn't go and get reported on your personal credit score. They would just threaten to, hey, we've got to get paid. We're going to tack on some penalties. And if you don't pay after a while, they're going to try to take the property. Like it's really on that level. The only thing that would show up on you personally typically is if they took over the property and or sued you. One, sued the LLC really. One, they might come after you on the personal guarantee, but they would have to win a lawsuit and then get a judgment. And then that judgment could get put on you for the personal guarantee. But most of this stuff is not going to have like some negative impact on your credit. It's not even going to show up on your credit score because it's under the LLC. You're only on the deal via your ownership of the LLC. So you are going to own the LLC that owns the property. The LLC owns the property. You just own the LLC. And then you are going to personally guarantee it. That is kind of your connection to the deal. It's as an owner and a personal guarantor. But this is not just like sitting on your credit score like a typical mortgage. You're not getting credit for monthly payments. And if you missed a monthly payment or were late, it's not going to ding your credit score. So it's something that you have to be aware of. Are your hard money lenders market specific by state, geographic location, national? And how do you build a network to find these kinds of lenders? Most of the lenders that I will deal with at this point are national. There are some really good local lenders. The national lenders will stay out of some states. They might stay out of California because some of these states, it's very expensive to maintain your registration and to do business. Even places like New York can be very expensive, but people will still do New York because there's so much investment activity and so much money circulating around. But typically these lenders will operate in like 40 states, 45 states. There are always going to be some of these states like California that will get excluded, or there will be special lenders that will operate there and then exclude other areas that they're not interested in. So you're definitely dealing with that. How do you find lenders? I mean, lenders aren't hiding. So if you sat down and spreadsheeted it out and did a Google search, hard money, 100% lenders, this, that, and the third, you could build a list and then you call them, you reach out, you introduce yourself, and you start to kind of go through that process. So you can find lenders. I mean, trust me, they're running around offering bags of cash and they only get paid when they issue loans. So they're not hiding. It's not in their business model to hide. Now, the local lenders, they may not do as much advertising, definitely not nationally. So in order to find the local lenders, you just want to do your research. You want to look at a very micro level. Like if I'm in a certain township of a city, I may look for lenders in XYZ township and just see what I can find. Dig through blogs, ask different real estate professionals, ask me, ask realtors, ask whoever you talk to. Hey, what lenders do you use? Are there any good lenders? There's a bazillion lenders out there. And there are some really good ones. There are some really bad ones out there. There are some people, I mean, lenders get burned all the time. So there are some lenders who've been burned one too many times, and they're just disgruntled people. They're not necessarily people that you want to operate with. They may not work with new investors. There are some that say, hey, we love new investors. There are lenders that underwrite you like you're getting a freaking FHA loan, like you're getting a personal mortgage. And then there are lenders that will work with you if you have a 500 credit score, 450 credit score. They'll still work with you. They have products. So what I do, at least through the mentorship program, and for myself personally, I can just deal with the national lenders that I deal with. Within the mentorship program, I've identified a variety of different lenders, some national. I do have some lenders, like I said, that even if you have a 500 credit score, we can work with them. You might have to put more skin in the game, but I can identify some of those lenders. There's also private money lenders, people who are just individuals with capital. You can also take your IRA or 401k and unlock that and use that to invest in real estate. There's a variety of different ways to finance your deals. But Yeah, most of them are either national or local. The local can be cheaper. They can be more specialized if you invest within their pocket. And you just have to do the research or reach out. You know, if you're in a VIP mentorship program, we're working one-on-one together. Just reach out. Um, do they use debt to income in that case? No, they don't. They're typically not. They will do what's called a PFS, personal financial statement. It's a one pager. They're going to ask you what assets you own, what type of liquidity you have, a 401k, IRA, a Schwab account, some stocks, some bonds. You got gold in the safe, whatever you got. They're going to kind of ask you for some type of liquidity statement. And then once you provide that, they're going to make a decision as part of their underwriting. So, like I said, these lenders are not created equally. Some do very strict underwriting. Some do very little underwriting. Some are called no doc lenders. They don't even require any documents, no tax returns. Some do no credit checks. You just have to, what you have to know is the hard money lenders that I work with typically underwrite what I would call professionally. Like they ask for documents, they ask for tax returns, they ask for income, but they can pull that from your tax returns, and they will check your credit score. But once you pass their bucket, they're going to give you some of the best rates and terms, and they'll give you up to 100% leverage in most cases, 90 to 100% leverage. Those lenders are going to underwrite stricter. Then there's going to be some other lenders that are going to not underwrite as strict. They might be no doc, but they're going to want you to put more skin in the game. They might only go up to 75 or 80% leverage. But it's a question of scalability and how much leverage you want to take on. For some people, they might be sitting on 100K and they're just looking for a 70% lender who can give them some leverage so they're not using all their money. Some people like me might want the 100% lender and just say, I want to use 100% OPM and just scale that way and take it to the moon. Some people might have bad credit and just need that other specialty lender. So it just depends on who you are. More questions. Does the LLC need to have credit already? No. You could create an LLC tomorrow and then boom, here's the name of my LLC. They're just looking at you as a personal guarantor. So you don't need to have time to build the business credit, any of that. You don't need any business credit. They're looking at your credit score. You're the guarantor. It's like if you had a kid, they were going to college and they needed a student loan and you had to guarantee it. They're not looking at the college kid saying, hey, what's your credit score? Like, you're a college kid. You don't even have a job. They're going to look at you. They're going to underwrite you, and you're going to guarantee the loan. Do lenders typically care about the amount of inquiries you have on your report? Also, what about age? After applying for some cards, my credit age averaged out to like a year and a half. I mean, all of those things, it's not that they care particularly. What they care most about is your credit score. So they will care about your score. Now, inquiries, your credit age, what your debt utilization ratio is, and all of these things, they're going to impact your score. So it's not that they care about them on an individual basis. Like if you walked in with a 750 and you had 25 inquiries, they wouldn't care, right? Because you have a 750 FICO. But if your FICO is low because of some of those things, you just want to maybe address those issues or start to kind of push the button on challenging those inquiries, see if the companies step up, and maybe a lot of them will fall off, boost your credit score. There's a lot of different ways that you can go to boost your credit score. What I would say is like overnight. Trade lines, piggyback method. Wes, I'll send you our Ninja Credit Hacker crash course. That is pretty much a webinar that I put together. It's not really available publicly, but because you're in the VIP mentorship program, I'll send it to you, and it'll show you some of the Ninja credit hacks that I've utilized over the course of time to boost credit score. So we got a couple more questions and we'll keep flowing. How does a line of credit work with hard money lenders? Are there any tips associated with, they don't really, from my experience, issue lines of credit in that sense. They will issue you a hard money loan. Now we'll get into the process of how the loan actually works, and it'll kind of click in for you guys. I just want to cover, I guess we already covered credit score. Well, no, we didn't fully cover it, but we'll get into that and then we'll keep going. If you're purchasing homes under 100K, is there advantage to using hard money compared to liquidating a 0% interest business credit card. The advantage to using hard money is scalability. Because if you go to a hard money lender, you execute on a deal and they're like, cool, you bring them their money back, you refinance them out. If they started you off with a $250,000 credit limit or even 100K, they're now going to say, okay, we're going to give you $1 million to see what you can do with that. Now, if you do good with $1 million, they're going to say, okay, they're going to give you a $10 million line. You do good with 10 million, you'll probably be on the phone with, like I've been on the phone with people like JP Morgan structuring custom type of deals where they want to see if you can move 50 to 100 million. Like, can you move it? Because that becomes the question in a lender's mind is, well, how much could you move? Because they start to trust that you can execute. So, yes, there is that advantage because your credit card company is not going to say, oh, you did good with this limit, we're going to bump you up to $1 million. I don't really know many people with $1 million credit card limit. You could certainly get there over multiple credit cards, but then the question becomes why, and then how long is that 0% introductory rate good for? 18 months, and then you're constantly doing balance changes. You're opening up a bunch of new credit cards, which is reducing your average credit age, which is what Wes was talking about. So there can be negative impacts to that. The credit card strategy can be a short-term hack, but it is not a long-term benefit to challenging hard money in that sense. So I would say using that same energy and time, we all share one thing, which is the time we have on this planet, 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week. So with that time, if you're going to be working on the deals anyway, you're almost better served to build that hard money relationship, because if you build that hard money relationship, the scalability in years, 2, 3, 4 is just so much higher. So if you're doing credit cards and I'm doing hard money, even if you got off to a fast start and you got 5 deals done, by year 2, I'm going to do 50 deals and I'm going to leave you in the dust. I'm going to leapfrog you because of the strategy. Ours is important. Epic Marketing said, I decided to go pro. It's time to go pro, guys. Being here and absorbing this information, staying tapped in, joining mentorship, like the VIP where we work with you one-on-one, that's deciding to go pro as well. But just staying tapped in and locked in is deciding to go pro. Wes had, I got a 770. I was just wondering about the age. And no, if you got a 770, nobody cares. You're good. You're beyond good. I would say, and next up is credit score. So in terms of credit scores, once you have like a 620, you're typically in the ballpark of most lenders. 680, you're definitely good. I would say with all hard money lenders, you're good with the 680. I've had lenders that will deal with, 500, people in the 500s, low 500s, 500 flat. We have some lenders for that. If you're below a 500, you just need to get up above a 500. Like if you're at a 475, it's not that difficult to use some of my ninja credit hacks and just get up above a 500. So I would say if you're super low, just get up to a 550, and then you can at least qualify with some of the aggressive lenders. And then as you continue to scale, you can deal with different lenders. You can also invest without cash or credit. You can do some of those strategies that we talk about in the mentorship program as well, the creative financing strategies. So you don't need credit and you don't need hard money, but hard money will allow you to scale at a infinite level, quite frankly. Like there is no limit, because you can have one hard money lender and they give you $1 million, then you can go get 3 more that'll give you $1 million. Now you got 4 million. Then when you do good with that, they each give you 10. Now that's 40 million. And you can just keep scaling it to the moon, as big as you want to get. And, the only limit I would say is just diminishing rate of returns. Getting bigger in this business does not always mean that you are making more money. Sometimes staying lean and mean is more profitable. And that's a lesson people like myself had to learn after scaling up to doing over 100 deals a year, and then saying, you know what, I want to do a little bit less because I could see a profit point in less deals than 150 in a year, or whatever my peak deal flow was, which I think it was somewhere around like 152, 153 in a year. And it's like, I want to pull back a little bit, see if there's more of a sweet spot. And there's definitely a sweet spot. That if you want my ninja credit hacker, just text me, DM me, however you kind of got here. Just reach out and I'll get that over to you. So just reach out to me. Can you cash out refi under a LLC as well? Absolutely. Absolutely. You can cash out refi all day. In fact, that's how I scaled, my operation was through cash out refinances. Amazing answer. Thank you. What if you have a business to get the hard money loan, but your credit is not as strong and you can't show income because it depends. You might have to go to one of those no doc underwriters who are essentially just underwriting the deal. So there are investors or hard money lenders are investors. They're just investing in the debt piece. There are hard money lenders out there who will just look at the deal and say the deal makes sense, the numbers make sense, and they are going to look at your resources and see if you can execute on this deal. So it depends. Like if they're talking to me and they say Brian's credit is jacked up, like his credit is just crushed, but they know I've done hundreds of deals, it's all verifiable, they may just say like, we don't care, we know he can execute, we know he's got the construction team, it's on. So there can be differences there. It all depends. There is no one answer with these lenders. They underwrite, they do what they want to do at the end of the day. So it's really about having multiple lenders and not taking the first no you hear as the absolute no. If you hear no from a hard money lender, it does not mean no from every hard money lender. A lot of us are way too dramatic. We get our first no. Then I get the call, Brian, they declined me. They said no. This isn't going to work for me. I knew. And it's like, no, you just got one no. There's literally 1,000 hard money lenders out there, or thousands. Just call the next one. And if you keep going down the line, you just need one yes. One yes means you're getting this deal done. And then once you get that first deal done, you're no longer new. Then everybody else will say yes to you, and deals 2 through infinity. So you're just looking for that first yes, and you'll be where you want to go. Limits. So how much will a hard money lender lend you at the end of the day? It's all based on the after repair value, the ARV, after repair value. And this is the value of the home after you put in the renovations. So what will typically happen in terms of process is you apply for a loan on a deal. Let's say you get a deal under contract for $50K, and you're going to put $50K into it. That's $100,000. And then it's going to be worth $150, or let's call it $180. So the after repair value would be $180,000. So after you buy it for $50,000 and put $50,000 in renovations into it, you're going to bring that property up to a top of market value. And then that after repair value is $180. So if you can get up to $180, the lenders will lend you 65 to 75% of that $180 value. So they're going to lend you 65 to 75% of the ARV of that $180 to purchase and renovate. So $180,000, how do we do that? Well, 50% of $180 is $90,000. So we know that's $90,000 is 50%. 10% of $180 is $18,000. And then half of that is $9,000. So 15 and 9 is 24.90. That's $114,000, I believe. Will give us 65%. $114,000 is 65% of 180. That's my mental math on it. Somebody can check me. Somebody can pull out a calculator. I don't know. But that means they'll give you, if you found a deal that you could buy for $50,000 and invest $50,000, you can actually get 100% of the money and still be below 65% of the ARV. So almost any hard money lender will fund that deal. Then when you're done with that deal, you can go to a long-term lender and say, hey, I have this deal, it's worth 180. Will you give me a long-term mortgage? Long-term lenders for a 30-year, I'll write 30 on this. They'll give you 75% of the ARV for the 30-year mortgage. Let me write a year. 30-year mortgage. So if you're in the deal at 65% from the hard money, then you go to the credit union and you get a 30-year note at 75%. There's that 10% spread on that deal. That 10% could recover your closing costs on the deal. So if you had to put in $7,000 in closing costs, you can get it back. 10% of the 180 is $18,000. So there's an $18,000 spread between your hard money loan and your 30-year fix. That's how you can do a bird strategy deal. If you can get all in this deal at 65%, get 100% of the money, refinance out at 75%, and then use this 10% spread to recover your closing costs, your interest, some of these fees. That's how you recover. That's how you do a bird deal. Get in and out of the deal at cost, get all of your money back out in the refinance, and then collect the rental income. And that's that. If you can pull that off and find deals, this is what we do in the 100 Keys Masterclass. This is what we do in our mentorship program. So we teach you 6 core strategies. This is one of them. Now there's a whole lot more to this. This is just kind of the hard money piece and how it works. But this is the philosophy behind that, is you can get in and out of that deal, collect rental income on the back end, and use that rental income to pay the mortgage down and give you some cash flow. And then you have hard money to fund essentially infinite of these deals. Now your only problem is how many deals can you find that will fit within 65% of the ARV? And then how do you know the construction costs, how to build them, how long does it take, how to know the values, how to pull the comps, all these different professional skill sets, which is why you need to turn pro and learn this stuff and stop. This is good, but Google University, YouTube University is only going to take you so far. At some point, you have to make that decision to invest in yourself and your education at a professional level and tap into mentorship. Or you can tap into the School of Hard Knocks and go out and lose $500,000. If you can survive that, if you can out earn that $500,000 that you're gonna lose. So you might make a $20,000 mistake, then go out and make $50K. Then you're gonna make a $50,000 mistake, try to survive that on credit cards. You're gonna lose over the course of time $500,000 to learn what is in my mentorship program. You're gonna lose $500,000 trying to learn it easily, if not more, because I'm actually pretty crafty and I learn very quickly from my mistakes. So my recovery is probably faster than an average person. Question, not sure if you covered it yet, but could you talk about liquidity and what hard money lenders expect of new investors to bring to the deal? So liquidity, they just want to make sure you're comfortable. They want to make sure you can handle the points and interest and survive the deal. They're going to want to see some type of liquidity. It depends. Like if you're in our boots on the ground program. So with our boots on the ground program, you guys who are in know that we will cover a lot of the cost of the construction, if not all of them, so that essentially the work is just getting done for you. Once you get into the deal, you close and you deal with your closing costs. You're kind of locked in the deal, and you're not putting out money on like renovations and some of these, materials and labor and all that stuff. That stuff's being covered for you because of the benefit of the boots on the ground program. For those who don't know, there are some first timers here, a lot of them first timers. The boots on the ground program is where we do all of this for you. We find the deals for you. We connect you with the lenders. We renovate the properties for you. We will help you to select refinance partners. We can property manage and tenant the properties. You can flip them at the end. We're typically targeting $50,000 profit target flip deals. So, a lot of people are in this boots on the ground program to target these deals. If you're in an out of town market like California, New York, some of these expensive overpriced markets, and you want to invest in the markets that we're in, then you can tap in there and we can do all of this stuff for you. We essentially do all this deal analysis and connect you with the lenders and execute on this stuff for you. But because you're in with us, you don't need liquidity to get through the deal. All you need to do is just get into the deal. Now, for the average person, you would have to have closing costs to get the deal. That might be like $15,000 to close. Then you would need liquidity, credit cards, cash, maybe an IRA, something you could tap. You would need, I would say, about $30,000 of liquidity to get in and out of the deal because, and this is the next question, which is process. How does the loan work in terms of process? This is a reimbursement loan. So procedurally, what's going on is you are going out and doing the work. You're doing the work up front. So let's say you bought a shell. Let's make this real simple. You bought a house and it's like caved in. There's just 4 brick walls and a roof. That's it. Everything else is just wide open. There's not even flooring, joists, nothing. So you're going to get that property. The first thing you're going to do is take your money And for those who know the full gut renovation process, we're going to start with demolition, right? We're going to get the whole thing cleaned out. That's going to cost you $5,000, $10,000. Get it all cleaned out, taken to the dump, cleared out. Then you're going to do your masonry and your structural repair. Put the joists in, do some masonry to the walls, make sure everything's tight and TLC. That's another $10,000. So now you're $20,000 in cash. That might be on credit cards. That might be cash. That might be wherever. You might have sold some stocks to pay it. Then you're going to get into the framing process. That's going to be like, let's say you got $10,000 in the framing. Now you're $30K out of pocket. Now you're going to pick up the phone and call the lender. The lender is going to come out with their draw inspector. They're going to come out with a guy, an older guy typically, who's kind of semi-retired, who used to do something on an inspector level. He's going to come and look at the work and say, yes, the property was cleaned out. The property was framed. The structure work was done. They're going to gather what you spent, like the invoice. I spent $30K. Okay. And then they're going to reimburse. So how they'll have the money is typically like, let's say if you bought the property for 50, I'm putting a B for the buy, and then you need 50. I'm going to put an N for need 50 to renovate it. So they're going to give you the 50 to close on the deal. That's what's going to the seller, right? The 50K. You put it under contract for 50,000. The seller needs 50,000. They're going to wire 50,000 to the title company for the closing. They're going to hold the 50K in escrow. I'm going to put ESC for escrow. That's being held in escrow. So when the draw inspector comes out and says, yes, that work was done, they're going to release the 30,000 from the escrow and wire it to you and reimburse you for your expenses. So once you get the work done up front, you get reimbursed, you get your 30K back. So now you have your 30K back, and you can continue to spend that into the deal again, get reimbursed again, spend it in again, get reimbursed again. At the very end of the process, if it only costs you 50K to renovate this property, you would have put out 50 and got reimbursed the full 50. So this escrow account will now be zero, and you will owe the lender 100K. And that's essentially how that would work. So it's being held in escrow. It's a reimbursement loan. So they're not, some people ask this like, Brian, so if it's 100% loan, are they giving me the 50K and trusting me to do the, no, they're not going to do that. They're not giving you anything. They're holding it in escrow. You're going to go do the work. And then they're going to come out and confirm that the work was done. And then only after that will they release the money from escrow, because they're protecting themselves from you, from your lack of experience, potentially, from your mistakes. So hopefully that clicks in. Some of you may need to watch this a couple of times, because it takes time to click in for different people. But that's how it's working. Now, for the boots on the ground, we might be covering this money, these costs. So you're not even coming out of pocket that 30K up front. You're not even holding that at all. So once you close, you're just in a deal, and the liquidity is smoothed out for you. So all you have to do is worry about getting those closing costs to get into the deal. But the lender might still want to see some liquidity, which you won't have to use it. Will your deal get denied for circumstances such as crime area, abandoned boarded houses? I think that's a lender specific thing. Typically, no, because the lenders know, like if they're lending money in Cleveland or Baltimore or Philly, they know there's going to be board ups. They know there's going to be crime in some of these places. Really, there's crime everywhere. You can go out to the suburbs and shoot up a school or something. Like, there's crime everywhere. So you can't get away from crime fully. There are areas with higher crime statistics, but lenders aren't really worried about that, because most of the millionaires are made in those developed. Like, what do you think gentrification means? Gentrification means you're going into the hood, and then it's turning around, and you're getting in on the action, part of that turnaround. That is what gentrification is. So lenders are lending in these areas. People aren't just running in with cash in these neighborhoods. Lenders are lending there. Now, you don't want to be on a completely wiped out block, but even if you are, they may just become more conservative with their numbers. They're not going to give you an ARV, an after repair value, that is like, yeah, this thing's going to flip for 900K. Like, it ain't. There's a board up next to it. but there still is a value on that property. And if you have board ups, there's advanced stuff you can do. Like I've gone into board ups. Hey, let's go in there. Let's put in new windows in a board up. Putting in new windows just in the front of the board up next to me might cost me, let's say it cost me $2,000, but then it improves the appearance of my property. So I might go in and put in windows. I might go in and do something to the property that's completely vacant, abandoned, whatever, just to improve my property because I'm an investor. So I'm looking at it as, hey, if I spend an extra $2,000, but it beefed up the value of my property from the outside view and just from, the valuation standpoint, then it's worth it. So you have to make those types of decisions. They're asking for a 20% down for new investors. That's a hard pill to swallow on the front end. Yeah, this lender is. So when we say this lender is, and that is what I'm trying to get through, and part of this message is there is no they with this. There's only individual players in this game. All these hard money lenders are individuals. They don't care what any other lender is doing. So if one lender is telling you this, then you go to another and you go to another and you just keep going. Even if it takes 3 months to find the right lender. Some of us we get discouraged very quickly, and we will adopt that mindset of like, this is how it is. This is not how it is. You just have not found your right fit yet. Keep going. You don't have to settle in this business. These are lenders. They're just offering cash for interest payments and stuff. Like they need to move this money. If they don't move this money, they literally bleed out. Like they have to move the money. So you don't have to accept their terms. If you don't like the 20% down, go find a 90% lender. They'll only want 10. If that doesn't work, go find a 100% lender. They're out there. So it's just about continuing to make the calls, continue to push, find the right person, find a local lender. They'll do better. They might only want 15. So you just keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. Never stop and never settle, and never think that one no is an absolute no. It is not even close to an absolute no. It's the furthest thing away from an absolute no. No problem, Rob. I live in Florida and gentrification is on the rise. Are you and your team located here? My team, the nucleus of my team, our favorite 2 markets right now, well, really 3 are Philly, number 1, Baltimore, number 2. I do really like Cleveland and some of the parts of Ohio. But most of my teams are in Philly and Baltimore. Those are like my favorite 2 markets right now for cash flow, and for flipping, and for quick flips, and for just value plays. So those are 2 really good markets. We're not in Florida, but we do have people in the mentorship program who are in Florida. We can show you how to invest anywhere. This stuff is not micro local. This information you can apply anywhere. How to invest in real estate is not specific to your market or specific to your area. Sometimes people ask me that, Brian, well, I'm here. Can you show me how to invest here? It's like, of course I can. Of course I can. If I wanted to come step on your toes in Memphis, Tennessee, I'll come step on your toes in Memphis, Tennessee. I don't even have to know much about it. I could get dropped out of a parachute in Memphis tomorrow. In 30 days, I'll be stepping on toes. Like, of course I can. The knowledge of how to underwrite deals, connect with lenders, renovate properties, the cost of construction, all of this stuff is national. Materials don't come into your little market. They come in nationally. The cost of lumber is the cost of lumber. This stuff's getting shipped from Canada. It's getting shipped. A lot of these materials are getting shipped from outside of the country. So they don't just hit your state or your city, and that's the price. The price is national. The cost of construction is national in many ways. How to evaluate the comps and understand how appraisers think, that's national. How to find good deals, that's a skill set that's national. It doesn't change. So I would say arguably 99% of how to invest like a professional in real estate is national. It is not local to your market. The only thing that's local is you and building the relationships. The contractors are local. The lenders could be local. The real estate there is local. The strategy may be better within your area. Well, that's why we have multiple strategies that we teach you, because you may be in an area where buying and flipping is hot, but buying and holding is not. So you need to know both. If you want to buy and hold, you might go out of town. But if you want to flip, you might be able to do that in your backyard. Or some of you are in the opposite, where buying and holding in your backyard is really good, but flipping, you might want to do that over here. Or you might want to do creative finance a state line away. So that's why you need to learn multiple strategies. But there's nothing special about any of us in terms of our location. In fact, I invest in Philly. I don't even live in Philly. I don't live in Philly, guys. I invest in Philly because it's a great market. And once you adopt that mindset, this is part of the professional mindset. This is part of the value of being born in or being born when you were, but being alive now with all this technology. This phone can do more than your desktop computer could do in 2001, 2010, realistically. This phone can do more than that. This phone has 500 gigabytes of memory. I remember the first hard drive, I was just talking to my wife about it, the first hard drive I had in my house was probably like 50 gigs. Like, it was like ridiculous. And that was like state of the art, dial up, baby, AOL. Like, what we can do with this technology is crazy. So you're not locked in anywhere. You're only locked in here. My job is to unlock it and to show you more opportunities. But it doesn't matter where you're at in the country. In fact, we have people around the world even who aren't even in the country who are tapping into this real estate, into these strategies, because they work. They work anywhere. But Florida is a good market. Florida is a really good market. So, definitely keep yourself tapped in. What do you do if a contractor is dragging out the time on renovations without significant change orders? It depends. Sometimes we don't know enough. And this is a lesson to know. Sometimes you're not educated enough to truly be on a contractor's back. Some contractors don't communicate well, but there are controllables and things that can't be controlled. So you might go to the contractor and say, why is the timeline dragging? It's because you're dragging it out. It could be. Or it could be a supply chain issue. Sometimes it just passes through. Sometimes you order the windows and the supplier says, we'll have them in 4 weeks. Just put down a deposit. They grab the deposit and the windows don't show up for 8 weeks. So then the contractor's trying to time everything around the windows. We get the windows in. Now we're weather tight. Then we can paint and do this and this and that. But then the windows don't show up because the supplier jammed them. So now they have to call an audible and start shifting the work and doing exterior work instead of the interior. And you don't know this. So you're running around with a mad face, thinking you're correct, that you're on them. But you don't know anything, realistically, because you're not a contractor. I know because I'm dealing with this stuff. I'm in the weeds with them. But you don't necessarily know enough to make that judgment call. So you have to make sure that you have the knowledge to make that judgment call, that you understand what's going on in their job, in their role. Part of being a master developer and a professional is understanding what everyone else does and the difficulties of their roles, the hurdles that they run into, and how to overcome them and how to work them through those, how to get ahead. So it would be a better use of your time to figure out what supply chain issues are slowing them down. And are there ways that you can get on the phone? Hey, window supplier, what does it cost for a rush order? Oh, rush order is only an extra 3%. It'll get the windows there 2 weeks earlier. Contractor never asked. You decided you were going to be angry at the contractor instead of solving the problem. The problem is 3%. Calculate how much money you're losing by getting the delay. Pay the 3%. You just solved the problem. And now you move on. And now they're moving faster. That's the level you have to get to. This is the level that most people never get to because their mindset is off. They think they can crack the whip on the contract. I talked about this on our ride along. If you guys watch the video that I post, one of the recent videos that I posted from our recent ride along, this is literally the message I was giving on the ride along, which is a lot of us want to crack the whip on the contractor, but we don't understand how to speed them up. We don't take the time to speed them up and that's our fault. That means you're going to be a lousy developer long term. Anytime a contractor runs into supply chain issues, you have no solutions. And then they look at you as some complaining person who doesn't do anything to help them. They don't want to take your phone calls now. They'll take my phone calls because they know I'm in the weeds with them and I'm helping. So yeah, it's tough, guys. It's tough, guys. But that's what I would say is I don't really know. I don't really know. It depends, and we just have to think through that one. Okay, I'll keep trying because my feelings has been hurt lately from this. Definitely, look, it's okay to you feel knocked down, you feel deflated. Me, I look, I got laughed out of the bank. I went in there. Hey, I'm Brian Grimes. I'm gonna do a FHA house hack. They laughed me. My freaking mortgage broker laughed me out of there. Bro, you got stuff in collections. You got $200 in collections here, this, that, third. We got to do a rapid rescore. They laughed me out of the little office. I tucked my little tail. I walked out, got back in my little bomb of a car, moseyed on off. It can be part of the process, but you have to get rhino skin. You have to get tough. I got toughened up because my first job was cold calling attorneys for a living and getting cursed out. That was my first job. So I got really thick skin and dealt with a lot of disappointment. And then after a while, you just get over it. But all I can tell you is, here's a lesson from sports that I got from the seniors when I was a freshman. And he said, "You know how to get through practice?" I said, "How?" Because our coach was just he's just freaking maniac, just running guys into the ground and all that stuff. He said, "Imagine mentally that this is going to be the worst practice you've ever had. You're going to run 10-17 sprints, which is where you're like doing side-to-side sprints. You're going to do 10-17s. You're going to pass out. Like you're just going to run until you pass out. And you'll never be disappointed. Because it's never going to be worse than what you're imagining the worst is. It can only be better than that. You have to go in with a mindset of expecting no, looking for my yes. Instead of hoping for yes, I'll be very disappointed if I hear a no. Those are two different mindsets. My mindset is always expect a no. And it's just the first no. Even if they say no, I ask them a different way. What about this? I know you guys won't do that. Can you double check this? I'm looking for the yes. I'm not caring about the no. It's just like, no, okay, cool. Next. It's really like that. I don't go through the process of sitting with hurt feelings and like I don't care. It just doesn't matter. It's not going to solve the problem. To me, it's just like, okay, cool. Next. Okay, no, okay, you'll do it. All right, cool. We're going with you. The end. And then it's the next step, and the next step, and the next step. And that is a mindset shift. So I would say just quick memory, move on to the next play. Move on to the next play. I'm just going to keep it simple and use your lenders and resources. Yeah. When in doubt, keep it simple, follow the money. That's pretty much it. When in doubt, keep it simple, follow the money. Come to Chicago. Maybe. Maybe. And Chicago is a good market. So I wouldn't even say maybe. Eventually. When some of the markets that I'm in dry up. Chicago is a really good market. Like ridiculously good, I will argue. It should be on everybody's top 5. It should be on everybody's top 5, especially if you're a cash flow investor. It should be on everybody's top 5. But you have to, that is where having local knowledge or tapping in with realtors who have that local knowledge comes into play. Because you want to make sure you're in the right pockets. You don't want to be in the war zones. Teamwork makes the dream work. Absolutely. Real estate is a team sport. You will become a better developer when you realize that people and everybody's not here to work against you. There are bad contractors. There might be a guy who's dragging his feet because he has nothing to do and you need to crack the whip on him. But make sure you analyze all angles first. Because if you run in cracking the whip and you're wrong, then it's going to be hard for you to recover from that. Will 100% lenders still work with a Canadian? Dame, we need to tap in. Dame, you've been tapped in for like almost a year now. you got to jump into the mentorship program so we can just start to make this thing happen. Who can't show income in the U.S.? Yes, they will. You don't have to show income in the U.S. to get with a lender, but you are going to have to get a deal done. So I would say what's holding you back, Dame, is you need to get a deal done. Just get a deal done. And then once you have a deal done, we can approach these different lenders and say, look, there's experience here. Will you make an exception? Because 100% lender would be making an exception to work with a foreign national. Not saying that they won't do it, but this is an exception territory, so we need to strengthen your case. But it's also just get a deal done. Get in, get a deal done. And then once you have that first deal done, you can scale up from there and you can tap into different resources. Thank you for the encouragement. Definitely. I just don't take any of this stuff personally, because it's not personal. And these lenders are crazy. Mostly, what you got to understand, most of these lenders don't even know anything about real estate. They're arrogant. They don't know anything about real estate. They think they're really smart because they're a lender. They're not that smart. They're just regular Joe Schmoes at the end of the day. You go behind the scenes. If you sat in the office of your average lender, you would think there would be like 20 people in a boardroom and 100 people. It's like 5 people in the company. And some of the people who work there are lousy, completely lousy, don't know anything. They're just there to collect a check. So don't build these people up in your head. They might say no for a variety of reasons that don't have much to do with you. Just move on to the next one. Keep it moving. Keep it pushing. And understand, even the lenders that say no, once you get a deal done, they'll call you back. They'll call you back in 6 months. Hey, we know you were interested. Have you gotten any deals done? We're expanding our business. We're always looking for. You'll get an email. You'll be like, what? Didn't these people tell me no? Don't take it personally, because they'll come right back. There's nothing personal about it. Also, if you were to vouch to the lender, it's not about vouching in that sense. I mean, it can be, but you need to have a case. I mean, for people who are within the mentorship program, if I can vouch for you, I will. If I can send you in on the red carpet, I will. Right? Like I always do that. But having a strong case helps, especially when you're a foreign national. So I would say for your case in particular, from my perspective, Dame, and I remember our conversations, you're ready. It's just a matter of you taking the next steps and moving forward. I think you're waiting. You're waiting to be told that you're ready. You're waiting for something to come along to tell you you're ready instead of deciding you're ready and just doing it. Just focusing and saying, I'm going to get a deal done now, and then doing a deal. When you're done the deal, then you can come back to all of this. You can come back to all of this. This is over analysis. This is paralysis through analysis. Classic. Because we spoken 8 months ago and you were talking about the same stuff 8 months ago. You'll be talking about this stuff 12 months from now. Same thing. Until you just go out and do a deal. Until you just go out and do a deal. It's not going to change. Only you will change. It's not going to change. It will change when you change. Therefore, it didn't change. You changed. I'm in Florida too. I've seen lots of modular homes. Can I invest in this market for new modulars? And finally, I'm sure you could. Yeah, it's definitely possible. It's 100% possible. 100% possible. What if you're just starting off with no seed money? Creative financing. Learning how to invest without cash or credit. I just dropped a new ebook. A new audio book. I just refreshed our 24/7 cash flow playbook. And then I just dropped a new audio book, the 24/7 cash flow method, a new audio book. If you got the email to get here, there's a link to that audio book in the email. It's going for $7 right now. Tap into that audio book. Put that in your ears. Start to reprogram yourself. And that will talk a lot about investing without cash or credit, how to get started. There's a bonus training that goes along with that audio book as well. So make sure you tap into that if you're just looking for ways to start out without cash or credit. We have a group course that focuses on that as well. But you can get started in that very cheap. Great encouragement. Spent the last few weeks moving, ready to get back into the game. Definitely get back in the game. The best way to get back in the game is to stay in the game. The best way to get into shape is to stay in shape. Never get out of it. But even if you do, just get tapped back in. Just lock back in. Another question. Can you leverage a 401k or annuity without cashing it out? Yes. The 401k, I believe you can do what's called an in-service withdrawal, where you can take a loan against your 401k. You can also do loans from annuities as well, or different types of qualified withdrawals from annuity contracts. So there are loans, but you have to reach out to the plan administrator. These things are contractual, so they're not one size fits all. But what you would want to do, is my main man, is tap into your plan provider for the 401k. Call your plan coordinator and ask them, hey, is there a way that I can do a loan for this against this 401k? And see what they say. They'll kind of walk you through the process, because it can be different depending on who your plan provider is. So it's not a one size fits all answer. It's just something you have to kind of dig through and find out if they will offer it, and if they will, then you just fill out the forms and boom, it's on. So I'm not sure if we have any other questions, guys. If you have any other questions, drop them in the chat quickly. Hopefully this helps you guys. This is that hard money overview. I get so many questions on hard money, and we covered so much today. So if you got value out of it, definitely like the platform, get it out there a little bit more. So like the video, share this with somebody else you want to get value. It's part of your service. Part of that value add is to share content. I'm sharing with you. Make sure you share it with somebody else who you want to see break free from the 9-to-5 and get out of this game, this rat race game that a lot of us have been stuck in, might still be stuck in. So definitely share that. Leave a comment that says I subscribe, so I can send you instant access to that free real estate training. If you want to tap into my VIP mentorship program, where I work with you one-on-one, so we can work together one-on-one. I can teach you this, and I mean so much more. There's so much to learn. Hold your hand through your first deal or two or multiple deals, and show you how to scale up an operation. If you want to work one-on-one together, make sure you click the link in the description. Tap into my training. You'll get a hold of me. Book a call one-on-one with me and my team, so that we can talk about that. The next level, the cost of mentorship, all of that stuff. We'll talk about that. If you want to tap into that audio book I just dropped, there was an email that went out for this stuff. Just check your email from Grimes Estate School, and you will see that link that can tap you into the audio book. Definitely put that in your ears. That's part of just your programming your mind. It's a very quick audio book, but it will give you what you need to start executing on this 24/7 cash flow method. So the last question we got quickly is, can you touch on brokers' fees? Brokers' fees are typically, in terms of realtors, which is what you'd be calling a broker, typically 6% on a transaction. They will typically break that up between 3% to the seller, 3% to the buyer's agent. The sell side is usually responsible for paying those commissions to the broker. So even if you're signing on with a buyer's agent, they're going to get paid out of the sale anyway, and they're typically going to negotiate their fee directly with the seller's agent. So there's usually a split out of I would say 3%, 3%. Sometimes the seller's agent wants 4, the buyer will take 2. It can be broken up in multiple different ways. What's the best way to approach the contractor to help them resolve the delays, encourage transparency? Yeah, I think it just like that. Just say, hey, is there any reason for the delay that I'm not aware of? Is there anything going on? Any supply chain issues? Let me know how I can lean in. And that's it. And let them talk. They're going to appreciate that, because look, the contractors are working on the deals all day. They're standing in the houses. They're driving, they're ripping and running. They're dealing with traffic. They're dealing with the supply houses. They're dealing with a lot of drama. They're dealing with other guys. Your main contractor may want to get the deal done. His guy showed up drunk. He sent him home. There's different, like, this is a real business. This is not white collar. There ain't no HR department. Guys will show up drunk. Guys will show up high. Guys will not show up at all and turn their phone on or turn their phone off. Some of these guys barely pay their phone bill, so their phone's off every 5 minutes. So they can't get in touch with their own guys. They're dealing with a lot. So you have to stay tapped in. I deal with it. I deal with it all the time. That's all I can tell you. I've been dealing with construction. I've built over 300 houses. I deal with it all the time. But I have the knowledge, so I have perspective. Some of us lack perspective. We think, oh, I'm investing, so it should go my way. And it's like, it goes the way it goes. This is real estate. Real estate is its own beast, and it moves how it moves. So you either going to lean in and try to assist and facilitate, or you're going to sit there and almost like a 2-year-old pout and stomp your feet. And it does less than it does for a 2-year-old, because at least a 2-year-old's mother cares that the feet are being stomped and the pout is on the face, and will try to do something to address that. But this game is like nothing's going to move. You're just going to be some guy off in a room stomping his feet, bleeding out more money, because you're failing to have perspective. You're refusing to develop perspective. And these are the levels of mentorship where mentorship helps, because it's like refusing to have perspective that could cost you substantial money. You might not know how to monetize that, but I could show you. Okay, because you didn't solve this problem and you took this approach, that cost you 10 grand. Sometimes people are like, is mentorship worth it? It's like, well, I could have saved you 10 grand by just addressing your attitude, because you're investing anyway. You're doing it anyway. So, yeah, you can definitely borrow from your tax deferred annuity. Yeah, you can definitely do some of these things, but you just want to call and make sure you can do it. So, looks like we got a lot of stuff. People are inspired by the video, which is good. So look, guys, hope that helped. If you're new to the channel, like, comment, subscribe, share the content, tap into the mentorship program, click the links in the description, tap into some of the free trainings, tap into the audiobooks that we put together for you. Just stay tapped in, stay locked in, tune your mindset in, decide to go pro, decide to take action. Don't sit on the sidelines. Don't be contacting me 8 months from now and you're still in the same position you were in 8 months ago. Like, let's go. It's not going to change. That is the reality. It's almost good if you contact me 8 months from now and you're still in the same position relatively, because that's showing you what your holdup is. That's what's holding you back. It's that you're refusing to jump and allow the net to appear. You're refusing to take the leap of faith. And your penalty for refusing to bet on yourself is you are staying stuck. So the solution to you staying stuck is to do the opposite, is to bet on yourself and to start to facilitate the growth, to start to go to the next level. So guys, hopefully this helped. Brian Grimes, your real estate mentor, signing off. I'll see you guys on the next one.